All right, it's recording whenever you're ready.
Welcome, everybody, to Straight Shoot a Wrestling podcast with the announcement of the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship being exclusive to Raw. Santi and I are going to run through who we predict to be the main eventer to take this title for the first time. Santi, what do you think? How you been? What's going on with this title?
I think, well, like how I've been good.
Good.
In terms of this title, I'm excited for it. And, you know, in hindsight, looking back, man, putting both titles on Roman Reigns was a bad idea because now we have no choice but to do this in order to make premium live events exciting again, weekly television exciting again. So WWE did this to themselves. They cornered themselves into this booking decision where they have no choice but to bring in a third world title. It is not a second. It is a third world title. Roman is still going to be running around with two belts. He still has the WWE Championship and the Universal title. And you have to make those distinctions between those two because of the 1,000-day reign of Roman Reigns. Because if Roman Reigns, if you all of a sudden were to unify the titles, you can make the argument, well, you know, he hasn't been 1,000 days. It hasn't been 1,000 days as Universal Champion, right? So there are 3 world titles in the WWE today. As of right now, I'm sure at some point they'll dissolve one of them. They'll get rid of one of them. But right now, as it stands, there's going to be 3, and it's because of the booking nightmare that WWE has put themselves in. But it is a necessary move, and the belt is sexy.
Yeah, and you perfect segue for what I was about to ask next. We got this reveal by Triple H of this gorgeous World Heavyweight Championship, and obviously there's a lot of hints and nuances to the previous WCW, which is the previous, I believe, NWA World title that we got inherited when Vince took over the company. I find this title to be absolutely true pro wrestling. And I think that speaks to what Triple H said, that this is going to be a defended title. You're not going to need a champion that demands your acknowledgement. It's going to be someone that's going to defend every week, or at least at every premium live event. And some of the guys that we're going to talk about in this podcast, it speaks to their body of work when it comes to professional wrestling, i.e. Finn Balor, i.e. Seth Rollins, i.e. even Kevin Owens. You can go on and on with the guys that are on Raw that could potentially be the first world heavyweight champion, new world heavyweight champion. So Santi, I want to get into a couple of guys. Like I just mentioned, I want to talk Finn Balor first. The first Universal Champion with a great feud with Seth Rollins, which unfortunately never got to continue because he dislocated his shoulder, tore everything apart, and had to relinquish the very next night. So he never really got his moment in the sun. Santi, where does Finn Balor fit in the potential for becoming the first world heavyweight champion?
I think if I'm analyzing the field, I think he's second in line, the second most likely to be the inaugural world heavyweight champion. For me, I love the sentimental value of having him be the inaugural world champion and finally get that reign. I don't think that he will be, but as much as I do love Seth Rollins and I think he's he's probably the best choice, I personally, as the fan that I am and the things that I like, I want to see Finn Balor be the inaugural champion and carry that thing around, defend it. He just recently went to Hell and Back and got 15 stitches, so we know he's a workhorse because he appeared the next freaking night on Monday Night Raw. He's a beast. He's a monster. And he's got now a legit faction that is actually strong, powerful, is over with the crowd in many regards, ranging from Damian Priest, from all the way down to the absolute nuclear heat that is Dominic Mysterio, and also just to the ever popular and menacing Rhea Ripley. So he's surrounded by a faction that could help legitimize his reign and make him be this badass heel champion and really make Judgment Day feel like what the OC was trying to do into the WWE's version of the Bullet Club. I would love for Finn Balor to be our inaugural champion.
Yeah, Finn Balor for me is definitely one of my top 3 picks for this to happen. I love Finn Balor, and I love that he was the first Universal Champion. I think he was on a hot run, and he really got hard done by with that injury, and it's no discredit to Seth Rollins. He's done that move 1,000 times before that, and it just went wrong once. Well, twice. If you consider Sting. But anyways, I like the idea of Finn Balor. I still think there's a couple of better options, and I want to run into, obviously, we got to talk about him, who is the proverbial face of the company right now in Cody Rhodes. I'm going to take this one for a second. Cody, I don't like a big baby face winning the inaugural title. I need a baby face to chase. That is my entire concept of a babyface. The chase for Cody of the world heavyweight title. He couldn't do it for the Universal WWE Championship from Roman. He wasn't able to finish the story, so now he has to go back to the start of the line and work his way to that world title. Do I think Cody will be in the match for the world title? Absolutely. But Cody taking the title and being the big baby face. Oh, I've got the world title. Story's done. Now what? I have to ward off all these challengers. I don't want that. I want Cody to chase. Just like Bianca Belair is great in the chase. She's not a very good current champion and defending, but she is great in the chase. So I think Cody will definitely be a part of this match, but I really hope, and I don't think he is the first inaugural world heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I think we slightly disagree. I don't think he'll be the inaugural world champion, but not only do I think he shouldn't be the inaugural world champion, I don't think he should be anywhere near close to this title picture in any way, shape, or form. Similar to Cena in 2012, where he didn't sniff the title picture until he had to go win the Royal Rumble, darn near a year later after losing to The Rock. Now, the reason why I say this is because the wound is too fresh with him losing to Roman Reigns. If he is near this title picture, if he wins it, then him winning solidifies the World Heavyweight Championship as nothing but a consolation prize. He wasn't able to beat Roman, so I'm going to go and win something else. It just solidifies the World Heavyweight Championship as a consolation prize. That's why I think somebody like Finn Balor is a great choice, because he lost like 2 years ago and he lost by an act of God. That's why Seth Rollins is a good pick, because he lost. No, he won and it was via disqualification. Cody Rhodes winning is too fresh. Him winning, or him being close to winning, I think damages this title, believe it or not, because I think the aura of him losing to Roman is so fresh that, and it's just going to scream, well, he wasn't able to beat Roman, so we're going to go put a different title on him. I don't think he can be anywhere near this title picture. I think his job is to continue to chase Roman Reigns. He needs to stay away from this title picture, in my opinion. If we're going to solidify this championship as a true top tier belt, that is not a toy belt that is only available because Roman doesn't want it, right? Yeah. There's the old adage from Paul Heyman to JBL. JBL, the only reason you were champion for so long was because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. I just don't want that title to become that. I don't want that title to be this de facto, well, Roman Reigns doesn't want it, so here you go, guys. I want this title to mean something, and it becomes this just little ribbon, this consolation prize if Cody is the one that wins it, because it's just too fresh.
Yeah, it would be very disappointing to see a title of this prestige just be looked at as a second tier title, because really this is one of the it's a spin-off of one of the
sorry Steve, let me say one more example. Remember when Cena won the WWE Championship and then CM Punk came back with the real WWE Championship? That shit that Cena was holding, everybody's like, that's a joke. That's the real title, the one that CM Punk is holding, and I just don't want it to turn into that.
Yeah, and you can see that somehow being played out and booked if that happens with Cody. Okay, going into who you mentioned, Seth Rollins. Obviously, the most over in the company right now, I think. Say so. It's a good argument. It's a good shout. He's not a heel but he's not a face. We've got like a tweener situation with Seth. And I do think it would be the biggest reaction if it is Seth, because everyone knows, first off, Roman never beat Seth in this entire reign. That's the big story. Roman never beat Seth. And these two being the two biggest things to come out of the Shield, no disrespect to Moxley, but he's doing his thing over on AEW. But these two have carried this company for years now. And I personally think if it is anyone, and I have one more ace in the hole that I feel could be a big surprise for when it comes to this world title, but I think Seth Rollins is the biggest shout for this. I don't want to go with the norm, but Seth Rollins has just done everything right. He puts his head down, he works, he gets put into bullshit situations, bullshit matches, i.e. no disrespect to the Homo sapiens out there, Backlash coming up, or Backlash that just passed, sorry, and having to go against Omos with no build with whatsoever, and then having to feud with Logan Paul. Granted, the matches have been good, but Seth deserves better. And he deserves a title. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious choice, and for once, the obvious choice is good.
Yeah,
I think if I had to put money on this title tournament, I don't even know if they've decided that it's going to be a tournament. They still have been very vague about that as of the making of this recording, as to how they're going to actually crown a new champion. But like, if I had to put money, it's going to be Seth Rollins. And usually, like, when it's this obvious, it's like, ugh. But it being this obvious, Seth Rollins is just such a good choice that I can't help but smile. So I do think that he is the most likely to win. He is the one that, if it's not Finn Balor, I want it to be Seth Rollins.
Yeah. I've got two more, Santi, and I think these two guys are standouts. First off, newly to Monday Night Raw, Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
This man has been a workhorse for WWE for the last 18 months, and he has not put on anything less than a 4.5-star match in every big scenario he has been put in. Santi, why don't you run with Gunther for right now? Because I know you love talking about him, and you love about good conversation about big meaty men slapping meat. And if anyone's been slapping a lot of meat, it's been Gunther. Yeah,
Gunther, I think, is an amazing shout to be a threat in this. The only reason I say no to Gunther is because he's still Intercontinental Champion. He's newly minted to Monday Night Raw, and now there's a lot more possibilities of matchups that we've never seen before for the Intercontinental Championship. And I do think Gunther needs to break the Honky Tonks record. I've always thought it's silly to have this workhorse of a title where the record holder is this gimmick character of an Elvis impersonator. Let's get a real badass at the top of this mountain as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. So I think there's just, how many times have we used this adage? There's just so much meat left on the bone. It really is the case here, especially now with him being on Monday Night Raw. Just so many matchups he could have. I think him and Bronson Reed could absolutely tear the house down. I mean, there's still potential with him and Drew McIntyre. Let's rekindle him and Nakamura. Like, there's just so many. Him and Cody Rhodes would be, woohoo! Hell yeah, dude. You want to put some adversity in front of Cody Rhodes? Put him in front of Gunther, my man. You want to see yeah, you want to see Cody's pec red again like it was at Hell in a Cell? Put him in front of Gunther. So I just think that there's just too much to do with Gunther right now, with him being brand new to Monday Night Raw with that Intercontinental Championship, that I just don't see him winning this, but I see him being a huge threat in this tournament, or however it is that they decide to mint this new champion. I do see him, the second he loses the Intercontinental Championship, being World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, absolutely. I stand exactly in the same position as you are. Like, Gunther has a lot of work to do with the IC title now being on Raw. There's feuds that he could run another year and a half with the IC title, and nobody would blink an eye and say this was bad booking, just because he does what he does, and he does it with prestige. The final one, and you mentioned him, what we think is finally returning Drew McIntyre, who was drafted very early.
Wait, not Gable Stevenson?
No, God. He'd probably have another heart attack in the ring. But yeah, the newly drafted and very high drafted Drew McIntyre to Monday Night Raw. First off, we've not heard or seen anything from Drew in months. There's been rumors on the dirt sheets saying that he's unhappy. He's not coming back. He's going to AEW. His contract negotiations are failing. And then we get this, what was it, 6th pick?
Mm-hmm.
Of the second round pick of Drew McIntyre to Monday Night Raw. And you're like, okay, this is great. And now you're getting a rumor that we could be getting a heel McIntyre returning. Two things first off with this. Heel McIntyre, I will take all day, every day. His run with Dolph Ziggler as a heel was great work. I loved that version of Drew. I like the new version, but I would like to see the new version darker as a heel persona, and I think we're about to get that. Secondly, WWE owe him. When it comes to the work that Drew McIntyre did during the pandemic, this man won his first world title in an empty arena
in front of 2 cameramen.
Yeah, in front of Stu and somebody else. And honestly, I think if it's not Seth, it has to be Drew. Drew getting the world title, a new title, showing that, you know what? I am actually a badass. I actually deserve this pop. And people do remember how good I actually am, from that Royal Rumble to eliminating Brock Lesnar and all the work he had done before that. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, his first world title run was not received well. But everyone seems to forget all the work he did leading up to that, right before everything got locked down. And I feel a heel of a Drew McIntyre returning with a chip on his shoulder, putting on the types of matches that he's been putting on with Sheamus and Gunther over the last 6 to 7 months. Oh, that's a champion I can get behind, and a good heel champion.
Yeah, you gave a shout to Gunther as the workhorse champion. I think that also goes towards Drew McIntyre, and he's shown that he can be a workhorse, and a top workhorse through thick and thin. Like you said, he was the workhorse throughout the pandemic. He's been a workhorse recently in the mid card with Sheamus, with Gunther, and heading into Clash at the Castle. We know that he can be tremendously over when people want him to win. So yeah, like I think that this is another one of the standouts that needs to be discussed as a potential inaugural world heavyweight champion. And if not the inaugural, maybe the first main feud for whoever wins it, but he's going to be in this picture for a really long time. If he does come back as a heel, I think there's an argument to be made that he is the top heel on Monday Night Raw. Heel that isn't named Gunther, I guess, because Gunther will run the mid card of the show. He would be the top heel in the main event card, in my opinion. So, and that's something Monday Night Raw really needs, because who is it right now? He's a free agent. The Miz. The Miz, right? The Miz is probably the top heel on Monday Night Raw. So, that's main event caliber, has one world champion. Dom, yeah, but like Dom is different, right? Like he's not. Yeah. You're not thinking Dom's gonna be winning this world title. Finn Balor, Finn Balor is probably the correct answer. But there's just not that many. There's just not that many top heels on Monday Night Raw.
Not many with the grit that we need to be feuding with the top babyface or tweener that is Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes.
I agree.
Drew has that real grungy Scottish grit, and he could be a savage. He could genuinely be a savage, and it could be like some of those uncomfortable spots with a heel that you're like, they took that just a little too far, but that's what a good heel can do, and that's what they can make you feel in a segment. So yeah, I think we've nailed down the core guys. Obviously we could go into the free agents, but I don't think they're going to give it to a walk in, walk out Brock Lesnar, and Omos is just not there. So, guys, in the comments, let us know what you think. Did we miss anyone? Do you think Bronson Reed? Do you think The Miz? Do you think Dom? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you like and share this video. Santi, where can people find you?
You can find me over on twitch.tv/SantiZap. You can find the links to that down below, as well as TikTok at Mr. SantiZap. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, guys, you can find me on twitch.tv/Mr. Tesh. I am on the road to 10,000 followers, and over on my TikTok at Mr. Tesh. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Straight Shoot, a Wrestling Podcast. Be good people and have a great day.